You try just a little bit to be an independent thinker, and you are absolutely shut out from the experience of your wholeness as you. And what happens is that the experience of your wholeness is divided up into a little bit that you have said is you, and everything else that isn't you. A world and universe that started with a big bang. Brothers and sisters who aren't you, who don't think like you, can't think like you, won't think like you, and you certainly don't want to think like them. If anything, you want them to think like you, but you sure don't want to think like them, do you? Ooh. Continuing. Teach attack in any form, and you have learned it, and it will hurt you. It's absolute. It will hurt you by causing you to be ignorant of the truth about you, and you will behave as though you aren't what you divinely are, and every step will be a misstep. Every step will be fraught with danger and threat. Existence will be frightening. Not because it truly is, but, quote, teach attack in any form, and you have learned it, and it will hurt you. Yet, your learning is not immortal. In other words, it's not absolute. Your learning is temporary. It can't be anything else, because it's the entertainment of a mad idea, of an insane idea, and that can't be eternal. There will come a point where you will decide not to embrace it, and you will abandon it, and it will be over. And what is immortal will be in your face to accept and honor. Your learning is not immortal, and you can unlearn it. How? By not teaching it. Isn't that utterly simple? Continuing, since you cannot not teach, your salvation lies in teaching the exact opposite of everything the ego believes. This is how you will learn the truth that will set you free and keep you so as others learn it of you. The only way to have peace is to teach peace. By learning it through projection, it becomes part of what you know, because you cannot teach what you have dissociated. Now, here the word projection is being used in its positive sense. By learning it, peace, through projection, which means the extension of it without putting it outside of yourself, it becomes a part of what you know, because you cannot teach what you have dissociated, what you have projected outside yourself. Continuing, only thus can you win back the knowledge that you threw away. You threw away something when you said, Father, I'd rather explore this imagination that I have that says I can do things on my own. And I'm going to explore it with all the power of my being as the Christ. Continuing, an idea which you share, not put outside of yourself, an idea which you share, you must have. Sharing is something that's always done with embrace, isn't it? When you're truly sharing, you're embracing the one you're sharing it with. You're including them in your space, in your acknowledgement, an idea which you share, you must have. An idea that you share, you cannot lose. Continuing, it awakens in you through the conviction of teaching. You extend what is established in you. And extending it illumines the fact that it is established in you. Again, the statement that Paul begins with says, "Let the reign of divine truth, life, and love be established in me, and rule out of me all self-will, all self-authorizations." And when you join with the Holy Spirit or the Father or your guide, and you be with each other from that joined place, letting the Holy Spirit or your guide give you the words with which to be together with your brothers and sisters, love is shared and simultaneously established in you in a manner that you can recognize as you. And so the truth about you is strengthened by your sharing. It's strengthened because it uncovers to you more fully what has been established in you since the beginning, but which you apparently lost the conscious experience of when you tried to play with the idea of being independent. Continuing, remember that if teaching is being and learning is being, teaching is learning. That's like saying if A equals C and B equals C, A equals B. Everything you teach, you are learning. Teach only love and learn that love is yours. And you are love. See? Teach only love and learn that love is yours. You can manage to do that intellectually. But the real meaning and value of it hasn't registered with you until the last part of the sentence dawns on you. And you are love. Teach only love and learn that love is yours, and you are love. You could say, teach only what God reveals to you, and learn that what God is yours. But the crowning point of it all is the discovery that you are God. And when I say that, I mean that you are all that God is expressing of himself infinitely without reservation is what you are. In that experience, you come back into your right mind. And the world and the universe will become so illuminated to you that you will recognize that it is and always had been the kingdom of heaven in all of its glory. And I know you're familiar with these kinds of words like in all its glory. But some words have to be used, and the purpose of using the words is so that you might have a hint that the experience that you've been missing out on is unbelievable, is something to desire. I could say is something to look forward to, but I don't want you to think in terms of time, and so I'm saying is something that is available to you in the moment, so bring your attention fully into the moment without your best definitions accompanying your awareness in the moment. And be curious. The next section is entitled, The Only Answer. Remember that the Holy Spirit is the answer, not the question. That's like saying, I am the way, not the rut. I am the way, not the rut. I am the truth, not the lie. I am the life, and not the misperception of it. Remember that the Holy Spirit is the answer, not the question. The ego always speaks first because it is capricious and does not mean its maker well. Ooh, who's its maker? Who made your egos? You did. And your ego does not mean you well. It does not mean the one that you divinely are well. Its task, once you imagined it into being, is to keep you so distracted that you forget that there is a place in you, a place of excellence, called the altar, where you can re-access your right mind. Repeating, the ego always speaks first because it is capricious and does not mean its maker well. Well, if it's shut up long enough, you might have enough silence to not be distracted any longer and remember the truth about yourself. So the ego is always ready with an answer. Except the answer is a lie and not the truth, and therefore it's not a real answer. Again, the ego always speaks first because it is capricious and does not mean its maker well. That is because it believes, and correctly, that its maker, meaning the divine one that you are, may withdraw his support from it at any moment. And so the ego doesn't give you a moment of peace in which to remember and make the transition. Continuing, if it meant you well, it would be glad, as the Holy Spirit will be glad when he has brought you home and you no longer need his guidance. The ego does not regard itself as part of you, the divine one that you are. Herein lies its primary perceptual error, the foundation of its whole thought system. When God created you, he made you part of him. You see, God projected himself without projecting it outside of himself, which meant that his creation was part of him. You were part of him. The word part is not the best word because God embodies all of what he is in everything he creates. And so the whole of him is you. But without it going outside of what God is, it remains a conscious experience of all that God is. That's your function. To be the conscious experience of all that God is. Again, when God created you, he made you part of him. That is why attack within the kingdom is impossible. You made the ego without love. And of course, you didn't make the ego until after you said, Father, I'd rather do it my way. Got the bill of divorcement and acted independently. And independently, you have no capacity to act with love, because that's derived from your source. And if you were connected with your source, you wouldn't have lost your identity, and you wouldn't be engaged in an attempt to act independently with self-authority. You made the ego without love, and so it does not love you. It's like I said last week. You send out messengers based upon a lie, the lie being that you are independent, and the messengers will go out into what? The only thing there is to go out into, the kingdom of heaven, and it will bring you back reports that say it's not the kingdom of heaven. They will bring back lies. They're incapable of telling the truth because a lie launched them on their quest. Continuing, you could not remain within the kingdom without love, and since the kingdom is love, you believe that you are without it. This enables the ego to regard itself as separate and outside its maker, meaning the divine one that you are, thus speaking for the part of your mind that believes you are separate and outside the mind of God. The ego, then, raised the first question that was ever asked, but one which it can never answer. That question, what are you? Except in your mind it's translated into, what am I? That question, what are you, was the beginning of doubt. Something totally foreign and impossible to experience when you're in your right mind. Listen to this. The ego has never answered any question since, although it has raised a great many. The most inventive activities of the ego have never done more than obscure the question, because you have the answer, and the ego is afraid of you. Now, let's get a little practical here. What does that mean? It means that you, as you currently perceive yourself to be, are afraid of what you divinely are. You are afraid that if you will pay attention to what I'm saying, and you will be willing to abandon your definitions and lean into this something called a Holy Spirit within you that's your right mind, that you will lose your identity. Do you see the irony of it? You said, Father, I'd rather do it myself. I'd rather see it my way. I am enacting a bill of divorcement, and you lost your identity. And you created one for yourself that's purely imaginary. And now I come along, the truth reveals itself to you and says, abandon your definitions and lean into the Holy Spirit within you. There is a place of excellence in you that doesn't require you to authorize anything, that doesn't require you to be responsible for anything, that puts you in a place of being the constant acknowledgement of what is real, with an awareness that you are not separate from its reality and it is not separate from yours, that it's all one. And you can grasp the possibility that this experience of indivisible unity might be bliss. But you are afraid that if you lean into this and yield to it, that you will lose your identity. Why weren't you afraid of losing your identity when you said, Father, I'd rather see it myself, my way? Do you see the irony of it? Because if you do, it will make it easier for you to make a new decision. Continuing, you cannot understand the conflict until you fully understand one basic fact that the ego does not know. The Holy Spirit does not speak first, but he always answers. Everyone has called upon him for help at one time or another, and in one way or another, and has been answered. Since the Holy Spirit answers truly, he answers for all time, which means that everyone has the answer now. How do you get someone to answer the phone? You call them. How do you get an answer from the Holy Spirit, from that which is nothing more than your right mind? By asking a question. Oh yeah, but if I do that, he might really answer, and that would prove to me that my state of independence is not real. And his answer might cause me to move into a new space wherein I wouldn't be able to pull off this really excellent business deal next Tuesday afternoon, in which I will make a lot of money, but unfortunately, a few heads will drop along the way. But nevertheless, if I dare to ask the Holy Spirit and abandon my determined isolation and let him in, it might spoil all of the deals I have gotten set up for myself by getting everybody to join me in mutual agreements that they don't realize is going to take advantage of them. I've set it up in such a way that it looks to them like it's a good deal for them. But man, I might have to sacrifice, you see. The ego sense of self that you identify as you is afraid of the divine one that you are. Can you see that? You may not be able to see it in all of its ramifications, but you can see the principle of it. Continuing, the ego cannot hear the Holy Spirit. Interesting. Let that sink in. Because if any of you have gotten an answer from God, if any of you have experienced revelation, if any of you have experienced the Holy Spirit responding to you and healing you, it was the Christ that you are that heard it. I bring that out so that you might realize that right now you are the Christ. You are right now the divine one that the Father set into motion, you might say, created, by having an idea that he identified as you and recognized himself in. If you have ever experienced communion with the Holy Spirit, that experience was absolute proof of your Christhood here and now, in this lifetime, if you wish. And it is not something that you will attain in the future. The ego cannot hear the Holy Spirit, but it does believe that part of the same mind that made it is against it. It interprets this as a justification for attacking its maker. It believes that the best defense is attack and wants you to believe it. Unless you do believe it, you will not side with it, and the ego feels badly in need of allies, though not of brothers. Oh, well, no. The ego is my best friend. I promise you. The ego is my best friend. No, it's not. Well, if it weren't for my ego, I wouldn't exist today. I wouldn't have survived all the experiences I've had. If I hadn't been smarter than the bastard down the street, or if I hadn't played dirtier than he did, I wouldn't be here today. Thank God for my ego. Bullshit. All your ego has ever done is to reinforce the little willingness you had to play with the idea of being independent, and to cause you not to remember who you are. It isn't the best friend you've ever had. The whole ego structure is a self-substantiating process in which ignorance is extended. That's all. And as long as you don't challenge that, every day will be Groundhog Day. Every year will be Groundhog Year. Every lifetime will be Groundhog Lifetime. What's this all about? It's all about breaking the rut. I am the way, not the rut. The Holy Spirit that is your right mind is the way. And your commitment to your ego is the rut. I promise you, every time we meet and every time I share with you, your commitment to the state of independence is dissolving a little bit more. It may not register with you, but I can tell you that it's as though the energy of your being begins to glimmer and glisten. There's more light moving in you. The light of you is increasing. And it's a joy for us to see. I want you to believe what I'm saying. You're not stuck. You're not stuck. And you know what? If no one else recognizes what's happening with you, and if no one else seems to be being blessed by the good that is happening to you, don't become distracted by it, because by damn it, every little bit of diminishing determination to be independent weakens everyone else's resolve to be independent as well. Don't become discouraged if what you have to give by being more in alignment with the Father isn't received, because it will be in your following through that those who can't relinquish their determination, their obsession with independence, will be freed. You will not be able to go out there and take them by the shoulder and say, be free, be free. But you will by becoming free yourself with commitment and resolve. Be the absence of support for obsessive determination that weakens obsessive determination in your brothers. because there's no longer confirmation from you of their point of view, and because your obvious embodiment of perfection and harmony and love will further promote healing for them. I love you, and I like the light I'm seeing glimmering. It's a joy, and I look forward to being with you next week. And between now and then, come chat with me once in a while, within yourself. Make the connection. Break the allegiance to self-determination. Okay.